So they picked, supposed to be, or anyway, I know he was there, one who was in the committee. There was some people who had to help out the German, because if they came orders.
Were they Jewish?
Yeah. And he either he said he volunteered or he was appointed. And he know all these people, the most respectful, fine people, that he will be with them there.
What happened?
So the whole town came. The whole town was told to come in a certain area.
Jewish and non-Jewish?
A big area. A big area.
Was it just the Jewish town people or non-Jewish?
The Jewish. Children, parents. And we were surrounded with all the German, with the rifles, with the guns. And we saw what it means, such a thing. Unbelievable. So I let my head down. I just couldn't look. The most respected people in town, what did they do? I let my head down. At least I didn't look. I got a knock with a rifle from young Gestapo. He said, "You look up." What could I do? And a Jewish man, a young man, not married, he was working with the committee that each town has to have representatives when they started, you know. And they took even, it came to us, a family, his name was Landau. He came from Germany because some people came to our ghetto because they put them on the, some Polish people from Germany, they put on the border. So later they came in, so everybody helped, gave them room. So one man was very distinguished man, maybe 40 years, spoke beautiful German, and he knew how to be the head, because somebody had to handle things. Whatever. So him they took to. And last night we heard the Megillah, Purim. And this happened right after. Happened in Purim. After it was finished, they told us to run home. And we heard shooting. We didn't know if they're shooting us or they're shooting in the air or they're shooting people. We ran. Very, very scared. Okay. How can you forget such a scene? There is no escape.
Where did you run to?
Home, back the ghetto. We was already. Another family lived with us already. They moved in because there was limited streets. And
how many people were living in your apartment?
Except us, we were 6, and there came another, I can't remember, a family. If we shared whatever we shared.
What happened after Purim?
There was a little, everybody was shaken up, and then we didn't know what's tomorrow. We never knew what to expect, and we didn't know what to expect any minute, so we lived in big fear. Then this woman, what we know, what I was by her this night, she said that she knows somebody who is connected with a German soldier, a girl, a Polish girl. And she told her that soon A few days from here, the whole town, the ghetto will be liquidated. We didn't know too much what's doing in other cities. We know only how bitter it was. We didn't know much.
What happened when the village was liquidated?
So this woman came to us, and she said to my mother, Mrs. Spiro, maybe I like your family a lot, and my sister, the younger, was no more with us, and my brother was already in the camp. So now I was the younger child, and my sister, Golda, who survived with me. She said, maybe if you agree, I take Ita, and she be by me. But I said, so my mother said to me, would you like to be by Mrs. Kwiatkowska? Okay. I said, Ma, listen. I read books when I come across when somebody is alone in this world, is bitter, without family, without friends. So I cry always when I read a book. I don't want to be an orphan, all alone in the world. So whatever will happen, together, I stay, I'm not going. And so it was. We was told, no, we knew, because this person told us, we couldn't escape. You was not allowed to go to a different city. It wasn't legal. They can say you're a spy, you can say, who knows, whatever. So my father was a scholar, and everybody used to say, no, Rebanshel, his name is, a word, because like if sometimes had to be talked over things in town, important things. So there was 10 people together with the roof. No, he was one of these people, you know. He learned a lot. He was like a smart person. So my father was sitting with us in the house, and and we said, what's going to be? He didn't have what to tell us. He felt already that he lay down because this is it. But we are not planning what should be. The whole town was told to come to the middle. We had a plaza, a big plaza, and it's still there. And around was nicer houses. All should come there. Now, we were surrounded with them and with the Gestapo, and they have their plans. They said from each family, only one person, a young person, one of the children who is capable to work, can be saved. And the committee for the ghetto should help out. Like if there is a few children, you take one, put them in a different group. And this means that they're going to work. Okay. Now, so they took my sister because they knew she is a dressmaker. This is the people in the committee, in the Jewish ghetto. They had to, help out. So I didn't know what's going to be, but when they took her, I ran after her. And then one guy said to me, only one, only one. I said, shh. And I got mixed up with them. Then I'm standing there, and I see the same they doing with the young men. And my father, he had a beard, but in the ghetto you had to shave it. So he was slim and shaved the beard, so he looked young, probably in the higher 40s or so. So I gave my father a signal, and I say, in Europe you call a father tate, tate, tate. This was how you say. I said, I found a moment, but they was there. Go, he should go to the other line, to the young people, because he looked young, because without the beard. Okay. Now, my mother was left alone, so she went to sit together. They took these people, all the people, except the young men and some young women. They put them in the church, in a place there, to stay there till they take them away. So my mother went with her brother, and the brother had the family, and Einiglich, and she stayed with the family. Okay. And we have still a word somebody gave us for my mother. How? There was one family what they was really well. And the man, he was also in the committee, and this, I don't know what he had. In gold, you don't talk. We're talking different things. Gave plenty. He said the children was out of question. They had children, gorgeous, beautiful children. The wife, they should give him the wife. What he gave, we don't know nothing. So she came out, and he came out with her, and he brought to us a word, what my mother said. She said, it sounds different in Jewish. Shall I say it in Jewish? Yeah. Auch it geht. Sie haben sich geraten wird. Ich bin zufrieden, als sie haben sich geraten wird. Like, also good, they was able to save themselves. I heard this word. And that was it.
What did it mean?
The whole shtetl was taken to Helim, and this was they have their chambers. Now, we went to Lodz Ghetto. I was with my sister together. They put us on a truck, and we came into Lodz. It's about an hour time ride, approximately an hour and a half, 2 hours. And when we arrived in Lodz, the ghetto there was already established, and many, many thousands of people already disappeared. To describe Lodz Ghetto is not possible. Now we are waiting the arrival of our father. And there was an area, absorption area, when the people who came, we stayed there. This was summer.
1942?
1942. Then we saw our father already. So this gave us a feeling, something to go on. No, at least we have our father with us. But we didn't know what's waiting for us. Because till then, somehow, we didn't go hungry. We still had merchandise, and if the 6 years what it took, we could survive selling each time something, we had the food. Anyway, There was one man left, a cousin. He lost 16 people in the family.
Do you remember his name?
Yitzchok. Very, very nice man, and he lived through all this. And he had an apartment alone
In Lod?
in the in Lodz, in the ghetto. The street was Marishin Street. So we moved in, all three of us, moved into Yitzchok.
What was the apartment like?
The apartment was one or two big rooms, and he had a little electric thing to make something, whatever he did. And my father was handy, so he found some bricks, and somehow he built a stove there. So we should be able, whatever it was, to cook. The ration was given once in 10 days.
What?
And everything was like, after this, had to be divided for 10 days, but we found out people measure everything with teaspoons in their way, and was a horrible scene. Some people got the ration, they took it, mixed it up, the whole thing, ate it up, and later they had nothing, so they, in the street, they couldn't walk, they swallowed up, and they died in the street. And we divided everything, and my father was helpful for us, because even he was used to be in the house, never participate in the kitchen or what, but once we got the stove, he was able something to prepare. So it was organized labor already, and here it was electric wires around the ghetto, and also there was guards, so nobody could get out in there. Now, if you're strangers in such a place, you don't have a chance to get extra something. We had to live on the ration, which was very, very hard.
What kind of food? What was the ration?
There was a certain amount of bread, which is really wasn't possible to survive. Then there was vegetables, so you had to stay in line, sometimes whole days. And then there was a shortage. But my father, he went to pick it up in the day, and he bring it home. So it was a little flour, a little this, that. Anyway, so the vegetables, when he made, he took a few teaspoons of flour and put it in, it should have a little richness. So when we came home from work, we was working
Where?
Jakuba Tzayin. This was a lot of shops. We worked for ladies' clothes for the German out of the ghetto. And there was men also the same street, Jakuba, a different number. They did men's work.
What was
like
the working
suits
like?
And this, whatever. And this was kind of business for the outside, for the merchant. And they ordered 500 this, 500 that. So we had to sit a whole day and work.
What was that like?
We was hungry, and lunchtime by work, we got a soup. In the soup, we couldn't get used to it, because it had such a smell. I can't describe it. The first few times we thought we never swallow.
What
but
was in it?
later on, we ate it. And my father had a job in a factory where they made such things for the soldiers, the German von Stroh, because they got stuck in Russia. It was very cold, so they should be able to put in their feet in such straw shoes. So he worked there a while. And later on, they closed the place. So the people who didn't have a job was very worried because they was candidates for sending out. Whoever worked had a chance. And then there came orders. Rumkowski was the head in the Jewish committee. He worked with the German. They have a special area where they met, and they bring in the orders, and he tried to bargain or whatever, but he signed, which was a horrible thing. Later he'd have excuses, maybe soon the war finish, at least somebody be left. But how could he do such a thing?
Did you ever meet Rumkowski? Did you ever meet him?
I saw him. He used to have an orphanage home for for lodge. He was there a director. All right. Anyway,
Who was the head of the ghetto for the Germans?
the head was Bibov. He was the head, but there was a lot of them. He came sometimes. And when they said Bibov is in the ghetto, everybody shivered. But otherwise they met in a special area, which was, this place was for them to meet. And it happened such things, unbelievable.
What happened?
How, we was astonished. But what could we do? It came orders in to give so much and so much children to this and this age. And he told the parents, give me your children. How can a person do that? I'd rather be shot. I would rather be shot. And he did it. And this was going on. We was there 2 years. Not many people know about Lodz Ghetto, but my daughter happened to buy a book, Barnes & Noble, Lodz Ghetto. It's a book written from very distinguished people who was there and saw everything in Devil Lodge. And when I left, when we was later evacuated from Lodge, I always used to hear stories, but I didn't meet anybody to ask what happened afterwards. Because there were some people very rich and very intelligent, and they built themselves bunkers, and they probably could survive because it was already 44. Summer 44.
Were people
August. And when my daughter bring the book, there was some pictures, but a very high class written. And I said, maybe I find out what happened at the end. When I started reading this, I closed it immediately. For me, I cannot read this book. There was written there things in English translated, some poetries. Everything what happened even after we was evacuated, but I couldn't read it. I read a half a page and I ran, I said.
When you were in the ghetto, did people try and have Shabbos and celebrate holidays at all?
If you had connections, you wasn't so hungry. Because they have special, they call it Tylon, a coupon. But who had that? We had nobody. And my sister's job was that there was a very beautiful family in the building with a lot of children. They had a scale in the house. We hear those things. With a scale, everything, what's going on here? So we said together with my sister, this is going to be her job. Every day, we have to prepare the amount of bread for us. She went up and weighed for my father a little more bread. So he suspected sometimes, he said, I think that I have more bread than you. I said, it's not so. Not only the ration was unbelievable, but we did this with our consent. We wanted to do. She especially went to weigh. Everything went on deco and gram. Like some people didn't have the strength and the will, so like I said, they got the ration, mixed up whatever, ate up, and that's it. Finished.
Did you have running water in the apartments? Or?
Yeah, cold water. It was cold. There was fear. There was cold and hunger. Many times at night, I couldn't fall asleep because I was hungry. And even we had a piece, let's say a vegetable for next day to cook what they give for cows, such whatever. So I couldn't get nothing. What's going to be next?
What happened?
So,
What happened with the liquidation then?
yeah, I fell asleep crying. So hungry I was. And then we saw miracles anyway.
Like what?
The 2 years that we had our father, it was for us strength.
Any other miracles did you see?
Yeah, miracles. Let's say if somebody sometimes want to do you bad, and you think, oh, this is it. And then from this and above brings out good. It's very hard to visualize such a thing. Now I became in the family the person who has to take care of certain things. It happened I worked in this shop, so we was making the samples. And the German came, and there was very beautiful girls in the ghetto. They sent in from Czechoslovakia, from Praga, families, very beautiful people, girls, like models. So they modeled, and then they ordered. So the head from this room was, her name was Rala. And she was in this room, she had connection with the bigger people from the ghetto because she made for them, to the house, she made for them clothes. So they gave her extra food. Now, she had a mother there too in this room. And this woman was so hungry like a wolf. She always was hungry. Okay. I came from our shtetl, I still look half decent, okay? According what happened already by them in the lodge of people. So we walked up to the shop. It was a few floors, 3 or 4 steps. So the head in this department said to me, Ita, bring for my mother the soup. I said, okay. So like flights The flights there wasn't so small. And I got my soup, and I bring her up the soup. Right away, she got, she wanted contact. She had, for this mother of hers, a couple of soups. And she wanted I should go down a few times and bring her the soup, and I felt I'm hungry and I have no strength. So I said like this, listen, one soup I gladly bring up, but I can run up and down 4 times. I have no strength for it. So she became very mad. And she told the director in our shop, because each shop had their representatives. Men had their, and this was also, we had 2 very high class people, Jewish people, but like almost assimilated, but they still was Jewish people. So one was a quiet man, a little older, and one was more like, you say, very up-to-date, modern. Okay. She goes and tells him that I'm not doing enough production. That this, that that. If you want to talk bad, okay, you can. Okay. Every day he came into each room, and we all stand up, and he walk out. One time he came, and he said, Spiro, I stand up. You come down in about a half an hour to the office. And right away my heart was pounding, because here they sending away people, making lists, and here this head, she's the dressmaker, but she's having contact with the important people in the ghetto. They gave them a name, the people, the higher up, they gave a name Shishkis.
What did it mean?
Shishkis, like them, something in a tree which grow high, I don't know. Okay. And also there was, like if somebody had somebody, or you had connection, so the first thing you meet a person, you say, du hast a Wand. I hear a Wand, what's a Wand? It means you have a contact, you have somebody, a wall. We had nobody. We came from a different city, and also all the städtler von around Lodz, they name it Litzmannstadt in Germany. Lodz is Litzmannstadt. They all came in just the same style what happened by us. Excuse me.
How much longer were you in the ghetto?
I go down to the office, and I am all shaken up. I come in there and stand near the door, and he say, he was talking to somebody. Then he said, come over. He said, I heard you're not working now. This, that. I say, Herr Director, we are here from a different town, and we have with us, my sister is also working here, and we have a father, and we give our father from the ration alone every day a piece of extra bread, and it's very hard for us, we don't know anybody. And I really don't have the strength, I only do what I can. I don't know, maybe he liked the way I talked or whatever, Polish. He was high educated, intelligent. He said, Spiro, you're getting 2 weeks extra soup. You shouldn't be so hungry. Instead of 1, I get 2. And showing I have already a wall? No, there's nothing to do. Nobody goes near these people, you know. They themselves shiver when Bibov come or other come. Okay, but still they had a lot. They had something to say. Then my father lost the job because they closed the factory, so we are worried. If he is not working, he's going to go on the list for the transport. Then my sister and my father come out with a plan. Listen, you go down to this man and tell him that your father is a man, he's a scholar. He was a merchant before, and by a miracle he's with us. Maybe he can give him a job in this place where I am. He said nothing. He said, come back in 3 days. I came home. We all thank God because we wanted, first of all, my father, first of all, he gets the soup in the daytime, and what we have, we save for the night. And then, where would he be accepted? He's not a Schneider, he's not. In 3 days I come, and he says to me, listen, your father will have a job, not hard job. He's going to work at night, sit in the front, because over there in Jacoba 10 was the warehouses from all textile from Lodz, silks and wools in the back, buildings with warehouses. So in the front, you come to the building, somebody has to be there at night too. So he will make him like a watchman. So this way, he can help you in the daytime. It is not so many lines because the people go to work. Okay. And he can take his soup there at night. So it means he just sit there. So this is a miracle of miracles. Then there was one person, she was the cutter in my room. She came from a very distinguished family, but she was modern already. But she recognized me as a person in such a family, what she called. And she was very nice to me. So then they called in 2 people from our department. It's going to be a meeting. They need people to put for a transport. Eva was her name, Protzel. Eva Protzel. She was a beautiful person. One time she invited me to the house, and there was hanging a picture. It was she and her sister. Her father was no more with them. I could see that, Hasidic people, but she was modern, very, very smart. So when they went down from each department, and each one had to give people. So Rala, in this room, the head in the room, wanted to give me on the list. So the director stand up, and he said, oh no, Spiro cannot be, because they're like a family. We take mostly single people first. Because he knew already that I have a father, and my sister worked there. So it was the second miracle. For sometimes, from bed, if God wants to save us, at least the 2 years, till the Lodz ghetto was liquidated.
What happened?
In 1944, in August.
How did the liquidation
So they send out announcements that if we come on goodwill, there was an absorption place. There used to be a jail there, a very big place. So the families stayed together. If we voluntarily, then we saw very bitter things happening.
Like what?
They're grabbing people from the lines. Here you have to stay in line for the ration. And if you stay in line, you don't come back. So what's the use? It means either way. So we decided, my sister and my father, we're going to the absorption place, volunteer, so we be together at least. And they wrote, they wrote pamphlets that better we should stay together and come volunteer. This way they don't have to grab and, to go. So anyway, so this was the liquidation 1944, terrible things going on. And out in this street, Marishin Street, there was the trains. So when we was still there a few days, and what they gave there as soup, this is not to describe, the smell. And the some was there, the young people, intelligent young youth. Either there was caught in line, or a building, or whatever, and they was lively people, the lodge, textile, city, organized, the youth, beautiful. At night, we didn't know where we're going. They sing.
What?
Songs. Hebrew, Polish, heroes, they sing.
Do you remember any of the songs?
And of the songs, Arum Dem Fire. Arum Dem Fire. They sing Have a Night. Okay. Then they got for us the kettle ready, the kettle trains. So we went to Auschwitz, 1944.
What happened when you arrived at Auschwitz?
We was the gates open, and music was playing.
What kind of music?
An orchestra. Like I later read that some people was very talented in Europe, knowing even. There was show.
What happened when you arrived at Auschwitz?
We was the gates open, and music was playing.
What kind of music?
An orchestra. Like I later read that some people was very talented in Europe, knowing even. They was chosen to play in an orchestra. And we come in a certain area, and the soldiers telling us quick, 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 everything quick, out of the, and how terrible it was in the wagons, in the cattle wagons. It's nothing to describe, because whatever you cannot even imagine that this should be done to people.